Hey everybody, Sneaky Narcotic, back at it again with another YouTube video, and in today's YouTube video, we're going to be going over the mechanics of Ikoria. So, there were some pretty hard to understand mechanics in Ikoria, so I thought I'd go over them as best as I can, as simply as I can. I do apologize, I am on PowerPoint, so it's a little wonky, but I feel like it will get the point across as simply as I can. Before we get into today's video, guys, let me please ask y'all to like, share, and subscribe. It would mean so much to me. How greatly appreciated. I was looking at my statistics the other day, and it showed that over 95% of people that watch my videos are not actually subscribers. So please help me get that number down and hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get into the mechanics video for Ikoria Lair of Behemoths. Number one is cycling, and this is actually an old mechanic, but I thought I'd go over it just in case for these new players. So cycling is best shown on this card, Drain of Stinger. Whenever you cycle another card, Drain of Stinger does 1 damage to each opponent, and then it says cycling 1 generic. Pay 1 generic, discard this card, draw a card. So cycling cards basically go like this. Cycle cost, discard this card, draw a card. And this is best represented this way on how it works. So you have your card that you want to cycle, and you have your deck. You pay the cycle cost from your hand, and it goes into your graveyard, and you draw your next card. And that's as simply as I can put it. I know this kind of looks stupid for some people that may have been a long time Magic players, but I'm trying to make this video so everybody understands all the new mechanics from Ikoria. So the next mechanic is keyword tokens, and well, there they are. As you can see, they're going to be these cutout tokens that will come, and you'll use them just like +1/+1 counters as actual tokens. So here is how it works. We have our card Fully Grown, which is an instant that gives target creature +3/+3 until end of turn and puts a trample counter on it. Then we have our friendly little creature from standard, Anax. So let's say you put you target Anax with Fully Grown, and then it gets +3/+3 in a trample counter, and it gains that counter just like any other counter until it dies. The next one starts to get hard. Mutate is very difficult to understand, and I try to represent it as best as I can, but let's look at it with Snapdax, Apex of the Hunt. So Snapdax, Apex of the Hunt has Mutate, 2 generic, 1 black or red, and 2 white mana. If you cast the spell for its Mutate cost, put it over or under a target non-human creature you control. They mutate into that creature on top plus all abilities under it. So basically, cast it for its mutate cost, put it over or under a target non-human creature you own. The top creature stays and gains the bottom creature's abilities. So let's say, for instance, you have Snapdax, and you also have Mothra. Now, Mothra does not have Mutate, but you can mutate Snapdax on top of Mothra. So if Mothra's already out and you play your Snapdax for his Mutate, you would target Mothra, and then you can decide to put Snapdax on the top or the bottom, and this is how that looks. So this is in the case of if you put it on the top, you put Mothra on the bottom like so, and then on top of it you put Snapdax. Now the creature stays Snapdax. Has 3/5, has double strike, has whenever this creature mutates, it deals 4 damage to target creature, planeswalker, and opponent controls, and you gain 4 life. The thing it adds to it is it gains flying from the next card, and whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its opponent's control with a flying counter on it. It does not get that 3/4. The 3/4 does not add to the 3/5. It stays 3/5. It just gains the abilities. Now, let's see the reverse of that with Snapdax still targeting Mothra, but you want Mothra on top. So you put Snapdax on the bottom, you put Mothra on top, and it stays Mothra, which is also, by the way, this is not to confuse people. This is actually one of the Toho cards, so it's actually Luminous Brood Moth, but it's the card art Mothra Supersonic Queen. But anyways, it would stay Mothra. It would be a creature, insect, mythic, rare. It would have flying. It would have whenever a creature you control with flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it, and it would stay a 3/4. But it would gain double strike, and it would say whenever this creature mutates, it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls, and you gain 4 life. Now, that being said, with Snapdax actually being legendary, this is a way to make it to where you can have multiple Snapdax out on the field by covering it up with a Mothra or another creature that it doesn't share the same name. So I think that's very cool, very interesting that you can do that. The next the next last and final mechanic of Ikoria is possibly the weirdest and most complicated mechanic I've ever come across, and that is Companion. So the card they actually spoiled for Companion is Karuga the Micro Sage. Companion, your starting deck contains only cards with converted mana cost 3 or greater and land cards. If this card is your chosen companion, you may cast it once from outside the game. What does that mean? Well, a companion is one creature in your sideboard, and only one copy of that creature can be your companion. Even if you have 4 copies of Karuga in your sideboard, only one Karuga can be your companion. If you don't have a sideboard, it's in your collection. This goes for Commander and other casual plays. Kind of like if you were using a Wish card. If you meet the companion deck building requirements, which in this case is your starting deck contains only cards with converted mana cost 3 or greater and land cards, you may play it from your sideboard/collection once. You can only use one copy of it from your sideboard per game, even if you have multiple. This is just me basically saying that only one copy can be your companion. It is part of the game after that. It can go to graveyard, exile, library, etc. from there on out. Building requirements only applies to starting decks, so you don't have to worry about this being in your sideboard. Let me rephrase that. So when it applies to your starting deck only, it's only your starting deck that has to reach the building requirements for the companion, but your sideboard can keep non-building requirements as it goes. As part of your sideboard, it does not count towards the minimal deck size requirement. It does count towards your sideboard maximum size. So do know about that. And to go further in depth with this, let's see how it works. So first off, before you start the game, you give a judge or a courtesy check. Basically, a judge will come by and check to make sure that your deck requirements are met for your companion. Of course, if you don't have a judge or you're playing more casually, you could do a courtesy check if your opponent so much deems it. I doubt in Commander anybody's going to ask for a judge or courtesy check, but if they do, it's part of it. Of course, if you see somebody that did not pay attention to their companion, they may have, for instance, with our lovely Karuga here, it has a Soul Ring in his commander deck. Well, he's DQ'd. unless of course you guys are nice about it. But anyways, from after the judge or courtesy check, before the game starts, you have to reveal your companion to all players on present. After that, you can cast it as your companion once per that game out from your sideboard, and it goes on the stack, meaning it can be countered, it can be stolen, it can be anything. From the stack, it either resolves or doesn't, and then from there on out, it stays in the game as a permanent piece of the game, library, graveyard, exile, etc. So that is basically how Companion works. I know it's a little crazy, and stay tuned. I'm sure the judging core of Magic the Gathering will figure out a more streamlined way of doing this instead of literally everybody who wants to play Companion getting a judge check. I'm interested to see that, since it says your starting deck, if that matters, that let's say you go into a round, you lost your first game, you want to sideboard in cards that do not meet your requirements, are you still allowed to use that companion? Or is it a new quote-unquote starting deck? So I do want to learn about that. If you're a judge and you have answers for me, please leave it in the comments section below. This is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'm on spoilers like white on rice, man. I just uploaded the first of the actual spoiler season. I'm about to upload also a review for the cinematic trailer. So stay tuned. I will be on it every single day. And this is Sneaky Narcotic signing off.